तमिलनाडु में भाषण कर सकते हैं, भाषण करने की स्थिति में हम नहीं है, वही प्रॉब्लम है। About 3 months back, I was in the IIT Bombay. It was one of the best audiences I had ever addressed. It is in the YouTube. The entire 60-minute speech is in the YouTube. You can listen. I had gone with a particular preparation, but Adi Godrej, who spoke ahead of me, he said it is the Hindu rate of growth which has destroyed India. This is the normal understanding in the academic circles, in the professional circles, in the media, among the people, among the policy makers. It is not only this. In the year 1920, a British sociologist by name Max Weber, he never came to India. He went to America and he said if a country has to develop, it has to become a Protestant Christian country, then only it can develop, because only a Protestant Christian country has the capacity to understand the way the market economy will move. And so I can understand this much because he has seen America growing by Protestant values. But he said 2 more sentences. He said the Hindu society and the Buddhist society can never come up economically because they believe in karma and rebirth. And societies which believe in karma and rebirth can never have initiative and entrepreneurial qualities which are necessary for economic advancement. You know, this somebody wrote without coming to India, without seeing India, without knowing what India is, Hinduism is, Buddhism is. But he exercised the greatest influence over Indian intellectualism for the last 80 years. And you know what happened? This whole thing has been demolished by a research which was conducted from 1970. When Japan began rising as a very big power, the West was very worried. Because West thought economic development only they knew. Economic development is their monopoly. They knew the technology, they knew commerce, they knew how to handle things. How did Japan come up? So a research was instituted by an institution led by one Paul Byrock. And he came up with a study in 1980 saying that till 1750, the entire Europe was a poor country which was way behind the Asian countries. Asia commanded 2/3 of the global production and India commanded 1/4 of the global production. And Europe was a poor group of countries. When he found that, the entire Europe was shaken. Then the responsibility was given to one Angus Madison by OECD countries. OECD countries means all the rich countries put together have one establishment, that is Organization for Economic Development and Economic Cooperation and Development. They constituted an Institute for Development Studies and made Angus Madison the head. 20 years the research went on. In the year 2001 onwards till 2010 June, Angus Madison died in last June, he came out with an astounding finding, and the book published was World Economic History, which is available on the website. You can go and see it. It's a free book, in which he said from the first year of after the Christ, AD, till 14th century, India was the leading economic power of the world. China became the #1 country in 15th century. India became #2. In 16th century, India again became #1 country. China became #2 country. And 1700, India again became #1 country. You know, till 1820, India was ahead of all nations of Europe, including England. When I mentioned it to the IIT and said this was Hindu rate of growth, and it is the colonial rate of growth and the socialist rate of growth, you know, India was having 18% of the world GDP in 1820, and India's share of GDP became 2.5% in the year 1900. In 1 century, the entire Indian civilization crashed. when I mentioned it, many students cried. They came and touched my feet and they have asked me to start a course. Why I am saying this is, this country is absolutely unaware of and ignorant and illiterate about itself. We have to know about itself. We have to be taught about ourselves. That is the job which is being done by Swamiji and Bharat Swabhiman Andolan. That's the most important thing. And now coming to our point of view, India was looted in the 19th century till about 1940, and afterwards India was looted by the socialist system. And I will give you the figures of the global financial integrity. They said that the greatest amount of loot from India took place from 1990. After globalization came into India, and 2/3 of the wealth looted from India was after 1990. Previously our tax rates were 97.5%. And if you added wealth tax, those who had been paying money, wealth tax at that time, if wealth tax and income tax were added together, the tax rate went up to 120% of the income. And so people began concealing and taking away the money outside. But all the tax rates were reduced in 1990. And today we are one of the lowest taxed nations in the world. And still the money is going out. The reason is people want to keep the money. Those who do not want their money to be known as their money, which means those who want to conceal the money, not for purpose of taxation, that means corruption, bribery, kickbacks, crime, that is the source of money which is going out of India today. We must understand, $300 billion was the money which America could not think of at the time. And when I was trying to unearth all this, the government of India arrested me, and Gurumurthy, who was sitting there, he is the person who helped me, assisted me, cooperated with me, partnered me, he went abroad, and we tried to bring all the money back. He was sacked from service, I was put in jail. He was not arrested, I was arrested. So the entire effort to bring back the foreign money which we started, and it is such people who could mount this, but it failed because I was arrested and thrown in jail. This is the introduction. But when the whole world, black money, we must understand, it was put very nicely by Govindacharya, that the black money generated in India is invested in the West. And the intermediaries for this investment are the tax havens. And the West knows about it, and the West wants it because the West doesn't have savings. If a country does not save, it has to borrow from outside. America stopped savings long ago because the families collapsed. 1/3 of the children born in America are unwed school-going children. Babies get babies. Nobody knows who is the father. 51% of the families are single-parent families, and parents are not taken care of by the families. Unemployed people are not taken care of by the families. The entire responsibility has gone to the state. People have stopped savings because they have no responsibility. If a nation stops saving, it has to borrow money from outside. Between 1976 and 2009, America imported goods to the extent of $8.5 trillion, more than the exports, and that became the debt of America. Without any savings, America began borrowing money outside. Today, America is borrowing at the rate of 12,000 crores every day. And this money has to come only from Asia. Asia means 3/4 of the global savings are in Asia. The entire 3/4 is borrowed by America. Without Asian savings, America will not exist. This is what we must understand. This is global economics. People say America is strong. It is the weakest economy in the world. So we must now, in this perspective, try to know what is happening in this country. In every country there are efforts to secure their money back. Philippines got the money of Marcos. They got the money back. It's a small country. And Zaire was able to get Mobutu's money back. Now, all these Middle East country dictators' money, not even the governments are acting. Civil society, NGOs are filing applications and keeping the money frozen. But in India, at least 4 cases have come out where there is prima facie evidence that the tallest people in this country are maintaining foreign accounts. Swiss Illustrates, it published in on 11th November 1991 that there is an account in the name of Rajiv Gandhi of 2.5 billion francs. And till now, no action taken. And Dr. Alberts, who researched through the KGB documents which were declassified, she brought out KGB internal notings to say monies were paid to the Gandhi family by KGB. In any other country, this would have been the cause for action. In this country, no newspaper even publishes it. Only newspapers in the south carried this. Second, in Kotroki matter, the government cooperated to release the money instead of getting the money back. In Hasan Ali case, $8 billion is the money. It was available on the 5th of January 2007 when Hasan Ali was raided. And the document showed Hasan Ali was having $6 billion free money which he could withdraw on that date. $2 billion money will become withdrawable on 15th of January 2007. The government of India had 8 days to act to get $6 billion and also $2 billion more. The government did nothing. It did not arrest him. And when he was on the run, he had a meeting with Ahmed Patel. All these are on record. The Maharashtra Chief Minister met him. The Commissioner of Police Maharashtra met him. That means it is not Hasan Ali's money. Hasan Ali was just, he may not even be aware whose money it is. If you are going to show that you are not interested in bringing your money back, why should any foreign government cooperate with you? This is the most important thing. What message a country gives. Suspects are ruling the country. Those who are suspected of what we want to get at, they are ruling the country. The opposition is very happy with them because there is something the opposition is afraid of. I don't know why. The opposition cannot speak out. And that is why the nation needs a voice today. And I appeal to Swamiji, he has to take the lead. In my experience as a person who has been part of the anti-corruption movement from 1986, you can never launch a corruption movement without the picture of the corrupt. If you don't put the picture of the corrupt, it will never become an issue. If we don't have the guts to put the name of the corrupt, the picture of the corrupt, I am sure that whatever the crowd that comes, it will never converge into an emotional upsurge. And so I want this movement to name the corrupt. That's very, very important. And there is a void in the country. And the nation needs a spiritual lead. Political lead has failed. It needs a social upsurge. It has to come from a spiritualist whose hands are clean. Who can attract clean people? Today there are no Gandhis to attract clean people. Today you attract dirty people in politics. Because you have dirty leadership. We need a clean leadership to attract clean people. And then only people will see an alternative. And the occasion has come. I am extremely happy that I could share my thoughts. And share my thoughts bluntly and openly and truthfully to the emptying of my heart. And for this opportunity, I am extremely thankful, Swamiji. With my prayers, I close.